how could you state it better than the life more abundant?
The power that we have, even as such a small community, the power that we have is astonishing, and it amazes me every single day, the stuff that we're able to do that you can't see done at a larger institution or even a co-ed institution. So I would hate to see the power of the ladies here be lost, and I would hate to see all the wonderful things that we can do here lost.
My name's Sarah Booth, and I attended Randolph-Macon Women's College starting in 2006. I visited the campus twice. There was never any mention to me about the possibility of going co-ed. There was a lot of rumors going around that this was possibly happening, that they were making some kind of decision, and my class coming in was going to be the biggest class in like 30 years that they'd had. There were about 24 girls that just didn't show up because of the possibility of us going co-ed.
The class of '69, president of the Randolph-Macon Women's College.
Shouldn't be president of anything!
Resonates with both loss, hope, tears, and anticipation.
It was clear that the path the college was on was not financially sustainable far into the future. My name is Lucy Hooper. My maiden name was Williams. I graduated from Randolph-Macon Women's College in 1973, and I remained involved with the college through the Alumni Association over the years since that time. And in 2000, I became a trustee of the college. And then in 2007, I became chair of the board of trustees of the college. So retired June 30th of 2012. We talked about many different, we talked about merger with another institution, another all-women's college. We talked about adding graduate programs that would, those typically not only, they pay for themselves and sometimes they make money, so it would help support the rest of the institution.
The purpose of the market research that we undertook was to, what we did was to test different models of the college, and they did market research in different parts of the country, and they said basically, here's a profile of a liberal arts college for women. How interested would you be in attending such an institution? You know, it was all done very, very scientifically by one of the best market research firms. And what we found out was the answer in most cases was not very much. You know? So that was kind of the dash of cold water in the face. We had hoped the market research, we undertook the market research with no preconceptions, and we hoped that it would show us that at least one of these models that we were thinking of for reshaping the college a little bit would be really appealing. None of them was really appealing. So,
what were some of the models?
Well, one was the global college with lots of emphasis on foreign language and study abroad and international students and all that kind of thing. One was emphasizing the high academic expectations, sort of, honors college, an honors college where everybody's in the honors college, that sort of thing. there were two others, and I can't remember what the two others were. Those were the two that seemed most interesting of the four
and those
choices that we
would
had.
be single-sex institutions.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That was our starting point. That we would search for ways to, you could call it repackaging or you could call it reshaping, but anyway, to do something to the college that would make it attractive to more bright young women, and we didn't find any recipe that seemed likely to do that. So in that sense, yes, it was a business decision, because the board said, can we keep going the way we are, given what we found out? And they said, no, we're not sure we can. So
As we went through studies, and we had outside research done, very fine research, as well as some more, we wouldn't call it inside research, but maybe fundamental rather than scientific research with other colleges, both that had gone coeducational or had remained single sex. So we went through all of that, and then over the course of really what amounted to 2 years, we ultimately determined that in order to maintain or strengthen our educational quality, which was of the utmost importance to us, that we would need to become coeducational.
well, we put up updates from time to time, so we weren't. I mean, the process was not concealed, and the alumni knew that we were doing strategic planning type study. You know, people knew that was going on. I don't think we told them as much as we should have early enough in the process. But by the same token, the last President's Report, which appeared in the Alumni magazine, I guess in the spring of '06, was the co-ed decision, was made in September of '06. So this is back in May, more or less. There was a long report by President Bowman in which he talked about various aspects of the college's finances and so forth. Well, a friend of ours who lives here in town said, well, he read her report, and he thought it was plain as day. He thought the handwriting was on the wall.
Our college is a college with rigorous academic standards, an emphasis on liberal arts, a committed faculty, and a strong, respectful community that takes its course from our honor system. Its commitments are to women's learning and advancement, and to education in the singular. This morning, after 2.5 years of research and deliberation, the Board of Trustees voted to approve for the college that invites young men to become part of the community as we advocate for gender equality and the life.
You know, if this was the financial decision that you needed to make, that's fine, but you handled it really wrong. There are a lot of ways that you could have done things a little better. And I think there are also a lot of people who have that mindset that, you know, you didn't think this one through. It just happened. No one in my class knew that it was a possibility. And, you know, when they were talking about how we've been researching this for 6 years, why weren't you going to tell somebody? You know, it's almost like if I had known, or if other people had known, maybe financially it could have been solved in a different way. And I think it was like okay, so you've been hiding this from everyone for 6 years, that this is even a possibility. And then even, you know, not saying to people who were visiting, this might be a possibility, you know?
And this is while I was the dean of the college, so I was in the middle. I was in the middle of all this. So I think there's some truth on both sides of that particular issue. I think it is true that we could have done a better job of keeping people posted, but on the other hand, even if we had, I think a lot of the people who were so furious would have been furious anyway.
Then October is when they made the decision, and then it was kind of an uproar. I didn't go to class for a week. I didn't go to the dining hall for a week. You know, I circled Smith while they were making the decision, and I sat outside Maine for a day not talking, and I went past the red brick wall and, you know, honk if you support us, and it was one of those, you know, they're going to make the decision that they feel is right, but let me show you that I'm not okay with it. How are you?
There were people back in '06, there were alumni marching around figuratively, saying, better dead than co-ed. Seriously. There were some alumni who were supposedly, you know, so deeply invested in the single-sex institution that they said at the time they would have preferred to see it fail than change.
And my dad actually went on all of my first college visits with me. And he's sitting here kind of, I don't know how to feel about this. Why does she want to go to an all-girls school? But he definitely, once we saw a couple more, realized like what the appeal was with not having distractions, really. I mean, being comfortable and sitting in a classroom and saying whatever. You know, being able to go in the dining hall and, you know, the pajamas you've been wearing for 3 days straight and nobody caring because everyone was doing the same thing. Having that just family atmosphere. And I always described Macon as, to people who didn't understand, as, okay, in high school, there are those people that like, are those weird group of people that you're kind of hesitant to talk to, but if you do actually approach them, they're totally awesome. Like, they're great people. And I always felt like Macon was all of those girls in one school. So, I mean, everyone's different and great, and they have stories and personalities and are willing to share them and open up. And it's warming.
It sounds like for you, that really is what made this place special, no?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we've lost that?
I think that Randolph College is a different school. In some classes, you could definitely tell that the participation as a whole had gone down. If you think about kind of the gender dynamics in a classroom, a lot of women don't feel like they can speak up because of what might be commented on it, or because their question is stupid or whatever. In some classrooms, I mean, you could definitely tell that there was either like less participation, or it would get back to that normal coeducational dynamic of a classroom, which was so not what Macon was.
I'm Holly Tatum. I'm an associate professor of psychology at Randolph College. I've been here, this is my 9th year. I teach psychology and I teach gender studies. There are as many studies that you can find that say that the chilly climate exists as there are that say it doesn't exist. One of the classrooms that we observed had significantly more males than females, and that we had the lowest rate of participation from the females in that particular class. But we feel like there's a critical mass, so that it may be that until the males hit a critical mass, meaning over 50%, that maybe it didn't affect women's participation as much. And this is based on some previous research as well, that it didn't necessarily affect until it kind of got to a certain point, and then you see it drop off. We are not the only study that has found that, but that we did hypothesize that. And that gets to this question of, as the number of males sort of increase across the board, would participation go down overall? And so even though that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, chilly climate for women, there did be some suppression of kind of this participation. The main finding in the research study conducted here was that the participation in a classroom was more influenced by the sex of the professor than the student. So that courses taught by women had significantly more participation than those taught by men.
No matter,
across the board, no matter if there were males or females in the classroom. So that female taught courses had more voluntary call out, students calling out answers, kind of participating. Female faculty made more follow-ups to students, and we think of follow-ups as being sort of like reinforcement. If you say something and I say, that's an interesting question, have you thought about this? Then that pulls you in and makes you want to participate more, versus sort of not responding at all, or even, we did not code for ignoring, which is a question, that it's something we could have done, but we just sort of already had a long list. Female faculty also gave more praise to students, another thing that reinforces participation. They also corrected students more. Corrections are when a student says something wrong or not quite right, and then the faculty member corrects the answer. So all of these are sort of follow-ups. So it's not that everything they got was just praise. They also they were corrected more by female professors. So we were very surprised that the sex of the student did not, sort of predict the participation. It was really the sex of the professor. My experience of this change has been really having to consider, is single sex better? I mean, this is sort of as a personal journey. Is that a better environment for women? Can women get an excellent education in a co-educational environment? And those are things I still struggle around. And doing this research really helped me, because we had to read this very well-written article that basically said the assumptions that we make about single-sex education as being better have not necessarily fully been validated by empirical research. And that was hard for me, because I, in my heart wanted to believe that it was better. And yet I teach at this institution every day, and I absolutely love it. And I think that we still provide an amazing education. So I don't think that we've lost most of what we had, but we've lost one little piece of it. But I think we'll gain, other things. So.
the reality, which kind of got lost sight of in the passions surrounding the change, is that none of us have are doing anything different from what we did before. You know, the thing we loved about the college was the academic integrity and the seriousness of what the students were doing. None of us has ever stopped feeling that way. None of us has ever stopped teaching that way. And some of the alumni who got so angry, I think they were thinking to themselves, well, it's just, you know, they've turned it into a high school, or, you know, there goes our academic reputation, or whatever, for which there was no basis.
So it was sort of like the loss. I mean, you sort of grieve the loss of something that was, I think, really special and really unique about the school. But one of the things I've learned, I've taught at 2 other small liberal arts colleges, and I think what everyone thought they were going to lose, the core of this institution, is being single sex, and that without that we lost sort of everything that was good about us. And the fact is that everything that's good about us is primarily because we are a small liberal arts college, and that we lost one component that maybe made us stand out and be different. But I think we're on this journey to find that other thing that makes us stand out and be different. But I think the quality of the education is still excellent here. So I don't think that's changed at all.
I think that what we strive to create are good citizens, right? Isn't that's the best benefit of a liberal arts education, however you might define that. The world needs people educated in that manner more and more, rather than less and less.
It was hard at times, but I think it was definitely after I left and came back, because being in it, you can't separate something like that, especially when you're still around so many people that have such strong feelings about how this is not okay, and kind of stepping back and being like, look, I had my year, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. Do I wish I had 3 more? Of course. But things change. And if I had really, really wanted to go, was set on just going to an all-women's college, I could have left. But, you know, this school, it draws you in.